Alright everybody, welcome one, welcome all. It is the Season 3 May Beginner Guide, presented by yours truly, KopiVT. Now, May is quite a fun character, one of the most fun in the game, and she has a lot of good buttons and pretty unique playstyle about her. The very first thing that makes May unique from almost the rest of the cast is she is a charge character, which charge means after holding back or down for a certain amount of time, you get special moves. If you do this too early for going to back forward, you just get a different move instead. Now, getting used to this, it's about 30 frames or half a second that May needs to charge, but doing this will allow you to fundamentally start playing May how she should be. And once you get it done, it's very fun. So starting out, all you want to do is focus on getting the dolphins out. You don't want to focus on getting them out as fast as possible. And then you just want to speed them up over time, and eventually you'll get the hang of instant charge dolphins. Like that. Now, we're going to go over some of the basic terminology as well to help you understand what I'm going to talk about in this game. Because assuming you don't have the greatest knowledge of how Strive is notated and what the buttons are, you can see on the little recorder down there, there are little acronyms. There's P, K, S, H, S, a D, and then there's little dash and RC. The little smiley face is taunt, don't worry about it. And then the shield is faultless defense. Now, punch, kick, slash, heavy slash, dust. Most of the time, heavy slash is just abbreviated to H and not HS, so you'll see that. And Strive uses what we like to call as numpad notation. So for those of you that remember 100% keyboards or have a calculator, you'll see where it has starts at the bottom left at 1 and the top right at 9. That is how your direction. So standing is 5, crouching is 2, jumping is 8, and then directional 7, 4, 1, 9, 6, 3. Have this picture up there as well, help to understand. And that is just one of the basic things that seems like it's very daunting, but once you get into the swing of it just a little bit, you'll understand it in no time. Now, I'm gonna show this dust loop. Myself, KBlueit, Slash, JSav, a lot of May players, we've put so much time, effort, and blood, sweat, tears to make the May dust loop one of the best pages that exists on that site. It's going to be linked in the description. There's going to be so much more on that website and all those May resources than what I can possibly talk about in a video that's not 24 hours long. So make sure you go check that out. You can ask us a bunch of questions and either of the two main Discords, Slash's Discord or Yomi FGC. Those are where most of the May players will hang out and answer questions. Have those links as well. Join those and feel free to ping me, KopiVT, for questions. KBlueit and Slash don't like to be pinged very often, but there are May Tech and question channels that you'll get quite quick responses in. So make sure you go check those out, and we'll continue on with the video. Now we're going to talk about our game plan. What does May want to do and how does she do it? So, like I alluded to earlier, you want your opponent to block this button. Nice little close slash. It leads to the world. The world becomes your oyster once close slash is blocked. It makes up the foundation of our game plan. Getting to that, you want to be building up your meter, so this tension gauge that lets you red RC, your burst meter that lets you use wall assault. All these help you get into your opponent. You also have things like 5k into 3k to get you close up. You've got 2D to knock down when you're doing, well, 2ks. There's quite a few options. You also have your air buttons, if I can space them correctly for you, that lets you get in when you get hit or have a sometimes good enough advantage when they get blocked to continue on pressure. Really, you're just trying to get in however you can to make your opponent block close slash. You can also do this on defense too. Your opponent may end up doing something fake where you can sneak out a 5p, and there you go, you get 3k, and now the world starts for you. So, biggest thing I want you to take away from this is that defense is not inherently bad. Blocking is not a losing condition. It is just simply a trade-off of you waiting until your opponent messes up. So making sure you don't go in with the idea that you don't want to be blocking, you always want to be attacking. keeping that tempered. It's a good balance that you want. Think of Thanos, perfectly balanced as all things should be between offense and defense to get your game plan started. And on top of that, Mei also has quite a lot of room for expression in her as well. For neutral, Mei has quite the variety of tools at her disposal at different ranges as well. So the first thing that we'll need to cover is her at round start range. This is your most common range to fight at. You'll start here, and oftentimes you'll reset around this distance. The main things that Mei is going to use here are going to be our Far Slash and our 2S. These are our farthest range pokes, and they are the best ones to use in this regard. If you're a tiny bit closer, if you find yourself there, use 5k. It's a lot faster than both 2S and Far Slash, and gives about the same reward too. And if you take the time, and it's going to be a long curve, but getting 5k into 3k off non-counter hit. Off counter hit's a little bit easier, or even 5k into 2D if you find yourself that close enough. Now you've got a little bit closer range. You have some different options. So 5p, this button is amazing when you're close up. It is incredibly fast, and you get 2 hits to confirm yourself into 3k. You also have 2k, which is a little bit lower to the ground, a little bit slower than 5p, but its advantage is it snipes people standing, and it can catch people out by surprise, also leading into the all-important 2D. As well as, speaking of 2D, you just have 2D to press on your own. It is a very low to the ground button, so there's a decent chance some of your opponent's moves will whiff over it, and it gives you knockdown for free. Pretty solid option overall, not to be forgotten. Now, for counter pokes, Mei has this 5H. This 5H is a great button. It's a giant wall of a hitbox that your opponents will be frustrated every time they run right into it. It's also great at stopping people instant air dashing at you and trying to be a little too predictable, especially around the corner. Mei also has 6p, and this button will also have a good counter poke opportunity from its little bit of invuln, and is your main go-to anti-air for every time your opponent tries to jump in at you. Nice, all reliable as it were. Now, Mei has a couple jump-ins that she likes to use in neutral, specifically JH and JS. Now, while these buttons are very good, they have very large hitboxes. Be wary of using them too often, because if your opponent gets wise to you, they will anti-air you, and you will feel a lot of pain from doing so. And it especially is more relevant if you try and do instant air dash JH and instant air dash JS. Those are the most common and easiest forms to anti-air for me, but start mixing it up. Make yourself go a little closer, go further away, a little more deep. The more you can mix up your air options, the better they will be. And then also, we've got movement. Mei has pretty decent speed overall. She starts on the very slower end of the pack, but she quickly rises to getting a little bit faster speed. And also, our forward jump is one of the best in the business. So even if you're just getting yourself into a closer range, even if you find yourself blocking a move at the end of a jump, that is perfectly fine. Being on defense, like I said, it's not a bad thing. It is just a different way for you to win on your opponent's pressure. Also, you will see Slash, you'll see J Savage, you'll see Toby Clone, you'll see me sometimes. You'll see us use this weird dolphin stuff in neutral. Don't worry about it for right now. It is a bit awkward to use, and as far as neutral is concerned, especially just letting dolphins fly, I would say use this once you are very comfortable with your neutral already and you know all the things that you want to do with Mei and her game plan. Dolphin is like a last thing you add once you are good with all her base stuff. Pressure. There are two sets of pressure here that I want to go over. One is if you have no resources whatsoever, and pressure if you do have resources. So a lot of these are corner specific. Mei doesn't really like to pressure her opponent outside of the corner. This is where she wants to be, and a lot of her tools let you push your opponent really fast to the corner. So some of the cool things that you can do. So we have close slash, right? Let me set this opponent to block real quick. Not force counter hit. Crouch. A lot of opponents will be crouching when they're blocking you. This is your standard pressure. Like they wake up, they're gonna be blocking. You've got close slash. Now close slash 5H, close slash into 2H. These buttons are very good. They lead to a lot of advantage. Although 2H, be careful with it because it really does force you into have to use a dolphin. Whereas with close slash 5H, you can just let it rock if you want and just leave this space. It's pretty safe. They are what's called auto-timed true streams. So if you just press them as fast as you can, your opponent doesn't get a chance to mash. And I will show you this. So action, little set, standing punch. So if I do as fast as I can, Soul's not able to press any button between it. However, I put a little bit of delay, a little bit of sauce in there. And all of a sudden, there's a gap. And that very small gap is not fast enough to get hit, and Soul will get counter hit for it. Close slash 6H also is auto-timed frame trap, which means there's a 3-frame gap if you press close slash 6H as fast as you can. And pretty good, because now you don't have to think about actually pressuring your opponent or making sure that, not necessarily actually pressuring, but making sure you have that delay built in. There's another move that has its delay auto built in, which is close slash into 2K. Same gap, 3 frames as close slash 6H, but gives you a little bit of different ward. It also does lead to some good advantage in the corner. Same thing, we get a knockdown, which is pretty solid as well. You also have let me take off the mash for this. If your opponent is just being too defensive, close slash, so if you run, you can get this auto space for you. Just go into our command grab. If not, you need to do a little bit of a dash. Let me be good for you. Oh my. Sorry about that. Yeah, so you want to do dash. It's a little awkward to get used to. OHK is a weird input to do. But you can do that to stop an opponent from just sitting there and blocking everything. If they're doing that too much, hit them with a grab. You're good. You're golden. It'll get them to mash. We also have 5K. If you're a little bit too far for a close slash, 5K is a solid option. You can do 5K, 5K. That's pretty solid. It has a pretty wide gap, but the gap is wide enough that a lot of people pressing buttons won't be able to reach. And then you also have 5K into 2D, which is also a good frame trap option to use. Need to be a little delay on it. And 2D counter hit leads into quite a lot of advantage. You also have 5P X amount of times. I recommend no more than 2, but you can do 5P, quick little dash, and you get to throw. You can just do a 5P on its own, do 5Ps, get yourself spaced out, pretty safe. There's very, very little way to get punished for this. You can also just do, like I said, you can do throw, get a safe jump from it. You can do into OHK as well. Both those options will work. You also have in the corner, because this doesn't work as well mid screen, close slash jump cancel into JH. This, you might need to delay it a bit, but it can catch people and be a free little reset. It is a little risky. I will say that your opponent can hit you out of this if they are smart, but do it properly and you're golden. And then you also have 2K, which we call this 2K stagger pressure a lot because you can do 2K and it sets up not an advantageous spot for me. You're still giving your opponent their advantage there, but to beat a second 2K is awkward and annoying. So a lot of people won't mash after that. Also, you've got 2K and 6K, some options you can go to frame trap out of it. And then you can get an OHK once they've shown you that they're too busy blocking to stop you. Now, with meter, base pressure becomes a lot scarier. For example, you can go in here and just get to reset. Just press buttons into reset. No big deal. Look at the risk gauge too. That also has a mental effect on your opponent. I'll mention that a little later when we're going for defensive. You can go in things like if I do 6K, for example, it whiffs OHK. Now, why did it show this? Because if I go this, use that slowdown, and red RC gets you auto-spaced 6K into OHK. Now, why is this important? A 6K, most people recognize this as a plus button, as it is. I think you keep your turn, and you can do a lot of things after it, so they're not likely to match. So you can sneak out a command grab there and get a good combo on sleeping opponents. Do I recommend you do this a lot? No. Is it still a really good option? Yes. There is also wild assault pressure that you can do. Now, a lot of it, when you're trying to do this up dolphin, this is manually timed, so you're gonna have to practice it. But it beats so much, and it cranks that risk gauge, like I showed, like you can see, like 50% already. The gold is to get close slash into up dolphin. This is very hard to do, I understand. I'm gonna be frank with you. It takes a lot of time, it can be frustrating. The 2S up dolphin is fine, it's the same timing, pretty much to get your 1 frame gap, but getting that close slash is a lot better because when you do it, you get to threaten an overhead kiss. All this needs a lot of practice. Feel free not to care about this or worry about it for a while. It is more an intermediate advanced level pressure. It's just giving you a taste of what to come. And speaking of a taste of what to come, there is a video made by the great K Blueit. Please go check it out. I'll link it here. It's on screen for you to show the thumbnail. K Blueit did a wonderful, excellent job at showing you a bunch of different pressure options May has, and if you ever want to up your game and you want a video to do it as opposed to watching like Slash or J Savage or maybe some other Mays that you see from time to time, that's a great resource. Highly endorse that video. Kicking off our combos is May's BNB. Like with this combo and the rest, it'll be a little dust loop there. Go check it out for more information. The BNB is so core to May. We have many alterations. The 2 I'll show is your basic 3-button confirm that gives you Oki, as well as a little longer route that goes into a safe jump. And here's a nice little counter hit confirm that you can do off of any range of 5H. Not to get too much into combo theory, there are air and ground routes for May. Air is for damage, ground is for meter gain, and here are both of them. There are a ton of Wild Assault confirms for May. I'm going to show you just one of them. Go check out the Dust Loop for others and figure out which one works best for you. As long as you get it to break wall, that's all that matters. May is known for her corner dolphin loops, and there's a couple ways you can do them. I'm going to show you 2 of the different ways you can get a dolphin loop going. Round start dolphin counter hit gives great reward, but has a very difficult confirm. It is worth practicing it though. May's charge dust confirms have a little bit of variance depending on the characters. It's noted in the dust loop and on screen, but it'll be a great damage dealer to some of these asleep opponents. There is an advanced version of Mei's loop combos called the Dolphin Whiff loops, and getting comfortable with these will elevate your ability to combo, but just note they are difficult. And now we get onto a lot of Mei's favorite parts of the game, which is called her Okizeme, or Oki for short. And all that just means is it's short for her knockdown situation. So let's get Soul doing nothing. So 2K2D, very common way. Throw, also very common. And OHK, when you're outside of the corner, boom. And even in the corner you can, but it's often recommended just to do your combo anyway and make them suffer. This gives you a lot of options to do. For example, you've got 2K2D, you can go into a beach ball, and if you do something like that, a little delay there, you can get, not only is it safe to reversals, which I will show you right now. Let's put Soul to do his DP, his invulnerable move. So if you do a little delay, boom, and you get to punish them pretty nicely, pretty heavily. You get to basically just skip, making them needing to block and get a full combo that way. You also have some 3K, which you don't really get much safe pressure for. 3K being a really good option, but you can call them out by blocking, and you get it from so many options. Helps extend your pressure. From throw, you can get a nice little safe jump if I'm good. All these take practice, I'm gonna be real, but yeah, there we go. There's a little safe jump with J2H, pretty solid, keeps you an advantage and good to call out your opponent, as well as if you have a read, and this is, I'm gonna be real, it's very hard to do. So the easiest setup, is in the corner to practice this throw. You can do safe jump that way. You can also throw here. And it's a little awkward time. You can OHK. Let me see if I can get it for you, just to show you that I am not lying. There we go. Boom. First try. Boom. That's what I showed. Little safe jumps there. Quite a lot of good Oki. There's also Dolphin Mix. So let's keep that on because there's safe jumps. So when you get 2K2D, this requires a ton of practice. I'm not even that great at it yet. But you've got different options with your Dolphin Mix. As I'm going to just rotate through them real quick and then I'll go through explaining them. So, 5 main options actually that you can do. Ending with OHK. The first you have when you go is to split air dash backwards and then go into either JH or JS. It does require a little time and practice to do, but this is a safe jump. There's also air backdash JP. I don't know how I did it the first time, but that is also a safe jump and leads into some good reward on counter hits. As well as you've got cross up 2K. This is a meaty, so it will hit your opponent if they're pressing a button, but is not safe to a reversal option. Of course, you have same side low, which if you press anything, your opponent is able to mash out and counter hit you for it, but if they're not ready for it, you get to loop your pressure in a better situation. And like I alluded to first, you've got overhead kiss. This does lose to mashing on wake up thanks to throw protection, but it does beat reversals like Soul's DP. Now, there is also a video that I have for you, April/Kodesu's Safe Jump Guide. This was made a year ago, or over a year ago actually, in a previous season where Mei had different tools. Her kit was almost completely different to what it is now, so there are some setups that don't work anymore. However, that Safe Jump Guide still has quite a lot of good content in it, and I would highly recommend you also look at it if you want to up your Safe Jump game. And the final one that I have to show you before we move on is when you get a wall break with a hard knockdown such as Super or Wild Assault, you get a free safe jump. Any other stuff, I highly recommend either joining the Discords and asking about it or watching Kodesu's safe jump video, and you will get a lot more in-depth knowledge there. The last thing to cover today is Mei's defensive options. So, defense, like I said, blocking, you are not in a losing situation here. Yes, that risk looks scary. Risk, what it does is as you block more and more moves, that gauge fills up. If it gets to total max, any hit your opponent does will be a large counter hit, and they can make a lot of combos that shouldn't happen. And it makes you take a lot more damage because scaling really doesn't exist while risk is present. But that's a very in-depth topic. I might get yelled at for that phrasey too by K Blueit, but you don't want to be scared of that. Having risk is fine because when you get it to attack people, once you win your defense, you get extra bonuses to your meter gain from risk. And we have ways to, make people stop hitting us. So for example, you can just normal block like I did earlier, leaves pretty close. For Sol, this leaves them in 5p range. However, if I want to do FD, faultless defense, ooh, look at that, so far away. 5p does whiff, but our further pokes get to exist, and now we go back to neutral situation, which is really good for us because now you've gotten out of pressure, no scare, no fret. You also have deflect shield, which it is a little risk, and it does cost 50 burst as well, but look how far it pushes you past neutral range even, so you basically fully reset and you get to start doing a lot more than you would if you had just FD. I will say you do get counter hit. That is the risk if your opponent is patient. Don't worry about it. Guessing wrong is fine. It's just a learning experience. You'll get more used to pressure and being able to use deflect shield better. Even pro players still can't use deflect shield consistently and always make it work. So don't worry about getting counter hits. A part of the process. Just take note of where it didn't work and then adapt next time. And like I said, so more stuff, so ways to get out of pressure. If there are big gaps, 5p, 2p, which has to be really close, and 2k are your best friends here. They are the main options you want to use for mashing. If you land 5p or 2p, you just want to go straight into 3k. You want to get that. If you get a 2k, obviously go into 2d, and that lets you just reverse everything and start your pressure. But that is really it for basics of defense. A lot of things for defense, I will be honest with you, are either you're going to need to lab situations, set up bots to do specific things on its own, or just watch other players and try and copy what they're doing. And that will, a lot of the times, until you can really understand and know all the characters, you can just copy them until they become muscle memory. You start really getting in depth and knowing why things work, how they work, and when you should do everything. And obviously, talk to a lot of the Mays. We can absolutely help you with any situations that you might be having issues with. Thank you for watching. Huge shout out to Kodesu and K Blueit for helping me with this, and I hope this video inspires you to start learning May.